And the 3x5 card says, in a moment, a beautiful young woman will approach the bar, and when she does, and when she gets her drink, hit on her. Okay? Oh, my Todd Rundgren story. This is a funny rock and roll story, at least to me. And everybody who was in the room that night at the Belly-Up Tavern in Solana Beach, California, a little north of San Diego. One of my favorite clubs ever. Anyway, at the time, my group called Modern Peasants was had a mutual interest with Guardian Records, and that's a record company that had, among others, Todd Rundgren was signed to the label at the time. And the way the story goes is our agent, Meredith, asked us if we'd like to come up to the Belly Up to see the Todd Rundgren show live in concert. And there was going to be a special presence by Guardian Records, and we'd be able to be part of that party. Of course, we were excited and wanted to be part of it, and we wanted to be signed and do all those things. So we went. And so when I got there, there it was. It was fun. It was for real. And Todd Rundgren's gig was a little out of what you would expect, in that what he did was he turned the stage, his stage idea, his concept was to turn it into a tiki bar. So it had its own bar as a part of the show. It had its own cocktail seating as a part of the show. And he had his band play as though they were a lounge tiki band, like from 1972 or something like that. So it had this total retro vibe, and it was fun, and it was cool. So as you looked at the stage from where we were, you could see the cocktail bar to the left of the band, and then you could see a bar where you could go up to a bar. And so my agent came to me and said, "You want to be in the show? You can be up there and be part of it." And I said, "Hell yeah, I want to do that. That'd be great." So pretty soon it was my turn, and they said, "Go up there. You can be up there." And I said, "I can go anywhere I want." And they said, "Yeah." So I went up to the bar. I got up on the stage of the bar, and I could see Todd Rundgren right there, 5 feet away. The bass player was close enough to slap on the back, and they were great. So I went to the bartender and I asked him, I said, "So I can get a real drink up here and everything?" He said, "Yeah, sure, whatever you want. What would you like?" I said, "I'll have a gin and tonic and 2 limes." He said, "Okay." And he comes back and he gives me my drink and a 3x5 card that tells me what my role is going to be as part of being part of the show. And the 3x5 card says, in a moment, a beautiful young woman will approach the bar, and when she does, and when she gets her drink, hit on her. Okay. So sure enough, beautiful young woman comes up to me and stands to my left and goes to the bar, and she says the same thing. "I can get a drink here?" He said, "Sure, whatever you want." So she gets her glass of wine. It comes back, and she gets a 3x5 card. I let her look at it for a minute. She puts it down, played it cool to go along with the show. Pretty soon I kick it in, and I just kind of nudge her and said, "Hey, my 3x5 card says I'm supposed to hit on you. So here I am. I'm hitting on you." So she looked at her 3x5 card, picked up her drink, and threw it right in my face. So that was, to the howling of about 800 people at the Belly-Up Tavern, that was the practical joke on me. And as I wiped the gin out of my eyes, the first thing I saw was Todd Rundgren laughing his ass off at me and being a good sport about the whole thing. So that was that. I met him later afterwards. He was having dinner with his wife and his mom, and he was a very nice fellow. So anyway, that's the Todd Rundgren story. So the way the Cash Only story comes together, I was touring. And I was living in San Diego at the time, actually, and I had driven all the way here to Syracuse, playing every place along the way. And ironically, the only city I could not get a gig in was Syracuse. But that was okay. I could see my mom and my cousins and some friends and everything. It was cool. On the way back heading west, I had a couple nights in Memphis. And so I did all the Beale Street thing, and I wanted to record at the famous Sun Studios in Memphis, which I did. And I went there with the intention to meet the ghost of Elvis Presley, because that's probably the biggest figure to put that place on the map. So I went. It was great. And I had to stand on the X where They say that's where Elvis sang, and they pull out this mic that's probably not the real mic, but they say that's his mic, and I got to sing on that. My engineer was James Lott, who was drunk, but he did a good job. He did a funny thing, by the way. He gave me a click track that was like 87 beats, 0.7326 or something like that, and I had to match that when I got home to my studio to contribute to that track, and I had to discover that was where the click was. Anyway, I went there to meet the ghost of Elvis, but I didn't. I didn't meet the ghost of Elvis. I met the ghost of Johnny Cash. While I was standing on that X, singing into the microphone, playing my songs, right there next to me is a giant poster of Johnny Cash just looking at you. Black and white, killer photo of him. And I just felt like he spoke to me the whole time. I finished the session. We spent the night. We rolled out of town the next day. Went through Arkansas. By the time we got to eastern Texas, it was time for lunch, so we pulled over at a rib joint. And as we went up to get our ribs and our fries and our sodas and stuff, paying out, there's a little sign at the cash register that says cash only. And in that moment, the whole thing clicked like an apparition. I just said, oh my gosh, I have met the ghost of Johnny Cash and he's talking to me. I'm going to throw an event called Cash Only. And I'm going to invite every country band and Americana band, rock band in the area that is good at that stuff. And I will throw a show like that. And it just so happens that I made the connection that my good friend Jim Cactus Soldi, a musical neighbor in San Diego, toured with Johnny Cash for 4 years. And that just all kind of made sense and came together. And I organized it. By the time I got off the road back in San Diego, I had the whole thing outlined, and I just had to call people, get a date, get a club. I did, and we just blew the place out. And so wound up being the best pick in the city, according to George Varga, the music writer there, who's one of the most prestigious music writers in the country. So that felt good. And I went on to do that for 8 years, and we raised a lot of money for the Wounded Warriors Foundation, which the Cash family actually enjoys. We've received messages that they felt that their dad would be very proud that we were using his music to do such a good thing. So that wound up being the story of how Cash Only came together. Now I brought it to Syracuse, and we brought Cactus out here to Syracuse, and that show was an extreme success as well. So we'll have more of those.